and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being live streamed by Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the Chelmsford Public Schools website. Again?
Yep, there you go.
I was wondering if this was going to happen.
Still better than last week's.
Deja vu all over again.
Think we're okay now?
Something about this room.
It's haunted.
This meeting is being live streamed by the Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the Chelmsford Public Schools website for interested community members to access and watch. In-person public participation will be taking place tonight in accordance with the Chelmsford School Committee Public Participation Guidelines. Anyone speaking tonight during the public input portion of the meeting has notified the superintendent's office of their desire to speak and has been provided with these guidelines. Upon request, written comments received no later than 12 p.m. on the day of this meeting will be read and made a part of the record of the meeting during the second public input session. I don't see any members of the press present tonight, so welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford Public School Committee. And our first order of business is to approve the minutes from our meeting on April 26th.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes from the regular scheduled meeting of April 26, 2022.
Second.
Is there any corrections? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. I'll accept the motion to approve. Oh, you already did that, didn't you? All right, sorry. Gotta follow the script here, you know? And I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, 5-0. Wow. That thing really throws me at the beginning there.
I'm
you know,
sorry, yeah,
just-
me too.
All right, next up, Chelmsford High School representatives.
All right, so we are halfway through term 4, and this week and next week are AP tests. I actually just took the AP psychology exam today, and it went really well, so I'm thankful for that. Also, the jazz band spring concert is coming up. It's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. at McCarthy Middle School. Also, the Spring Pops concert will be happening on May 10th at 7 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. And finally, children's play is coming up. The Theater Guild is putting on a production of The Wayward World of Woo Wood. Sorry, tongue twister there. Productions will be this Friday, the 6th at 6:30, and this Saturday, the 7th at 11:30 a.m. And all are welcome, and tickets will be sold at the door.
Thank you.
Next weekend is Acapocalypse on May 13th and 14th at 7 p.m. You can go see Chelmsford High's 2 a cappella groups, the Crescendos and the Thursdays, as well as
No, my bad.
sorry, as well as groups from other school districts perform. And they're also having an alumni performance, which is cool. So alumni from both groups are coming back. And if anyone wants to go, tickets are sold at the Association of Chelmsford a cappella's website. Both juniors and seniors had different assemblies today. Juniors had an assembly about Job Shadowing Day, which will be happening on May 17th. And so students are currently working right now and finding opportunities that can match their future careers. And then seniors had an assembly about Senior Week, which will be the week of May 30th. And tickets are being sold this week for events like prom, banquet, and barbecue. And graduation will be taking place on Saturday, June 4th at 4 p.m. at the Songus Arena, and everyone is welcome.
Great, thank you both very much. So next week will be the 17th will be your last meeting with us?
Yes.
Okay, so please make sure you're here because we want to obviously acknowledge your commitment to the school committee throughout the year, and thank you for all it is that you've done. All right, next up, good news.
Sure, I have 2 pieces of good news this evening. So we have, through our digital literacy grant, we have sending 3 of our elementary technology assistants to a workshop this summer where they can build their computer science skills for teaching K through 4 computer literacy for our students. And hot off the presses, apparently we have received our aquaculture permit to have and be able to raise fish at CHS.
I've been pushing for that for like 5 years.
I saw the tank yesterday. It's beautiful.
That was a
It's
joke.
going to be wonderful.
That's really a thing?
Yep. It's really a thing. No, it's truly a thing. So
I support
so
it.
2 pieces of, well, it's here, so thank you.
Does anybody else have any good news? I have one thing. I'd like to recognize it's Teacher Appreciation Week this week. and to thank all of our staff for, we're closing out this school year, and I know that it has certainly been not what we expected in many ways. I think the transition back has been difficult, but, you know, our staff and our students have hung in there beautifully throughout this year, and it's really been nice to be back in school, and we owe so much thanks to our staff at all of our schools for their hard work and dedication on behalf of our students and our families. So thank you very much to our staff. We are now, do we have any registered speakers?
We didn't have any,
Okay,
no.
so we don't have any registered speakers tonight, so I won't bother reading this whole paragraph. All right, our first item is our spotlight on schools.
It is. So our first item tonight is Spotlight on Parker Middle School. So as you recall, each meeting, we focus on a different school, a department, and some of the work that's taking place. And tonight we have Principal Jeff Parks in the Parker Middle School and Officer Dan Sullivan, who is our school resource officer. And one of the newest members of the police department, Officer Ozzie, is also here tonight. And I will turn it over to you guys. I don't want to steal your show. So we're happy to hear a little bit about what's happening at Parker this year.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you all for allowing us to come and join you tonight. We're looking forward to, a brief discussion about what's been happening at Parker. Obviously, you want to bring the puppy to take all the pressure off, and, we know that that's what people, you want to give the people what they want, right? So that's what we do. Dan, could you, pick them up so folks at home could see them just for a couple minutes?
Beautiful.
He's 3 times the size of the first time we met him, without a doubt. Yeah. So, Donna, I would echo exactly what you said, and, obviously it's an important week and an opportunity to recognize the staff, so thank you for saying that, and, I completely agree. The teachers and students have responded beautifully this year, and such a great unknown, especially in the beginning, but just continue to persevere and get through, and, here we are with 30 some odd days out, so they are doing a wonderful job, and appreciate you for recognizing that. So tonight, we're going to recognize a few of the partnerships that we have at Parker Middle School, and right off the top, it's important to recognize the Chelmsford Police Department. And before we get into the stuff with Ozzie and all the great work that Dan has been doing, we know that Chief Spinney and the department had put SROs in the 2 middle and the high school X number of years ago, and Dan was split between us and McCarthy, and then came over, and I know Officer Gogan is over at McCarthy, and Detective Tyros, or actually officer or detective, Becky? Detective Tyros up at the high school. And that is just so important, because not only from the school safety perspective, but as principal, being able to run things by Dan and talk about issues when they come up, but having another positive adult in the building for kids to relate to. And it's not, he's not the discipline guy, he's not, he's not there for any specific reason, but rather being another community member for us, and it's really invaluable. And with that, his, I guess I'll say, innovation and creativity really led us to where we are right now and having this community resource dog. So Dan's gonna talk a little bit about, kind of the work that he had done behind the scenes to get us to this point, and a little bit about the training that they're going through right now.
Thanks for having us. So I became the school resource officer about 4 years ago, and at that time, community resource dogs or kind of therapy dogs weren't really a thing in schools, especially with police officers. But I had found a program out of Walpole, Golden Opportunities for Independence, which had partnered with the Walpole Police Department and started this program with one single dog. I got the information 4 years ago. I brought it back to the chief, and like probably many chiefs of the day, he was kind of confused and said, "I'm sorry, you want a dog for what?" Because it really wasn't a thing yet. And since then, the programs have just really exponentially grown. There's many different facilities that offer dogs for police and school settings, or just school settings in general. I researched pretty much all of them. People that know me know I tend to go a little overboard when I get into something. So I was really happy to find this Golden Opportunities for Independence, who we got Ozzie from and who we're training with. And the rest is kind of history, and we're moving forward from there. So He'll be a fully trained service dog when he's all done. It's about an 18-month certification process, and the training right now is 4 days a week. When he passes his first certification, it goes to 3. When he passes the second certification, it goes to 2, and then to 1 day from there. Right now, his training looks similar to about 3 hours. We do some basic core stuff, the normal commands that a really well-trained dog would know, and then the second half of the day, we go into the community, usually down in the Walpole, Foxborough area. Like, we go to large shopping centers. A lot of times we do high school events. Like, we went to Medfield High School the other day. They had a wellness fair. I think there was 12 of our dogs there, which was pretty cool. So it's great for the students as well as the dogs to get, used to being exposed to hundreds and hundreds of people at a time. He's doing great. He is a giant, if you couldn't tell from when I picked him up. So I'm thrilled that the partnership between the police department and the school department is so strong, and I couldn't have facilitated this without the help of Dr. Parks and Dr. Lang, and it really was unbelievable, and I look forward to the program growing. Thank you.
So we went to pick them out, and you can see, up on the slides now, there were, I'm gonna say about 8 or so puppies kind of running around, and Dan and I went together to look, and they each had a string tied around their neck, and that's how they identified them, with whatever color the string was. And after a little while, we're talking, and it was, oh, well, that one's already taken, and that one's already taken, and that one's already taken. Not that we were selecting them, but it was like overwhelming with all of these, running around. So finally, I think Dan said, he's like, could you remove the ones we can't have, right? And then it was like, okay, now we narrowed it down, but it was, the rest is history. So, without a doubt, Dan made the right call. So the next partnership that we developed this year, thank you, Dr. Hirsch, is really 2 things. And I just wanted to take a moment to review the timeline and just kind of show this real quick, because I think people in the community, and I've even met people that are like, how is there a dog now? Whose is it? What does it do? And I just thought it'd be worthwhile to take 2 minutes to give a quick overview of really kind of how this developed and our partnership with the Boston 25 group, and then this other DeBella Law, who gave us the generous donation to actually use the money to buy the dog. So back in September, as principal, I know that there aren't a lot of ways that you can recognize staff. So we do, we buy food items, and we say thank you, and we write them notes, and we do those things. And I try to get creative with it. And I saw this contest in September, and I thought it was a very easy way to tell a little story. It was like in 1,000 characters or less, or something like that. Tell us about your school and why does your school rule. So I bragged about our students and staff in a quick 2 paragraphs, sent it off, thinking that a win for us would be, I get a letter back from the news or a note saying, thank you, here's your essay, thanks for taking the time. And I was thinking, and I'll read it to the staff at our opening meeting or at a upcoming staff meeting or something like that, and wouldn't that be pretty cool? Well, fast forward a couple of weeks, we get a call that they're gonna come out and do a story. So we were able to show some of our students, and that was in early October. So we got to have the news come out and show a story. And then we find out we're a finalist with one other school, Abigail Adams Middle School. And finally, I heard in late October that we had won the contest. And the challenge of that was, but you can't tell anyone until we do a broadcast in a week, right? So people kept asking me, and I kept saying, I'm waiting to hear. I can't wait for the phone call to come. But sure enough, we had won. And what it meant for us was not only the donation, but more importantly, and I look at it this way, an opportunity for me to say to the staff, look at this, right? So you did this. This is because of all the things I got to highlight that you are doing, and that's why we got the recognition. And I think it was actually, I think it worked out to be a pretty cool thing. So when they came and did the broadcast and things like that, and there are a few video clips, but that's, even for me, that's a little way too much Jeff time on the news. So we're gonna forego the different clips that we have. But they did come just a few weeks ago, and it provides a nice little summary of where we're. Thanks, Dr. Hirsch. That's very nice.
I'm so sorry.
Nice vest though.
I thought I was gonna go right into the video and you.
Nope, roll it.
Okay, can I roll it?
Yes,
Thanks.
please do. Introduce the newest member of the Chelmsford Police Department, our community resource dog, Officer Ozzie. And that was the first time that people had heard his name. We took the $5,000 donation from DeBella Law, and Chris DeBella is with us again today. We took that donation and purchased the pup in partnership with our school department, the police department, and really all the credit goes to our SRO, Officer Sullivan, for what he's done to get this program going and put us in the position today where we get to have this guy joining our team.
Well, Ozzie's off the scale cute-wise. Tell us the role Ozzie's going to play at the school.
So Ozzie will do a few different things. Officer Sullivan and Officer Ozzie will participate in some rigorous training with an organization called GOFI. It's Golden Opportunities for Independence. So we partnered with them, and that's where we purchased the dog from. So Officer Sullivan will be going down and training 4 days a week, and then which will scale back to 3 days to 2 days over the course of about a year and a half. So it's very rigorous training. So when the dog isn't training with Officer Sullivan, they'll be here at Parker interacting with students, helping to create a fun, a calm and supportive atmosphere every day that he's here. There'll also be some responsibility with the town, other schools, because again, it's a community resource dog. So the whole police department, really from Chief Spinney, who has been incredibly supportive of this, will also benefit from having this as part of his wonderful police department that we have here in Chelmsford.
We featured the work of GOFI in the past. They do remarkable work, and the dogs are absolutely gorgeous. When we made the presentation to you in the fall, the kids were chanting, "We want dogs, we want dogs." And they've got the dogs, and they're behind you there. How excited are they about seeing their wish now fulfilled?
So he's wondering, how excited are we about having this actual wish?
This one's us.
This is one of our student leadership groups here, our Pride Committee, our Pride reps, and some of them were featured in the story that Evan White did initially, and they're here now. And yes, they were chanting, "We want dogs," and guess what, kids? We got dogs, right?
Job well done. Well, Jeff, we appreciate it. Jeff Parks, the principal there at the Parker Middle School, and everybody else. And welcome, Officer Ozzie. I know Officer Ozzie is going to be doing some great works there in the weeks, days, months, and years ahead, we hope. So appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, Jeff. And pass along our congratulations and thanks to everybody there.
Very nice.
Isn't that pretty cool? Yeah. So beyond that, yes, there are other things that are happening beyond this, all right? This is all the excitement and the majority of the momentum, but we do have some other pretty cool things that are happening at Parker, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them. Working with John Morris last year, he started this project at both middle schools in the libraries, and it's a cool area. It's a makerspace that he is really showcasing as a science, math, like a STEM focus for kids to go in and do hands-on activities. John and I have spent a little bit of time in there helping me kind of understand and work through some of the things. So we're hoping some of our math teachers are using it now, and that will continue to build momentum and have students using that as an actual, like a functioning lab where teachers can take kids to work on a variety of different experiments. That was, up until about 4 years ago with our Chromebook move, that was a computer lab, a 30-station computer lab in the library, but certainly we don't need those setup stations anymore. So those were removed, and then John was very creative and added this space, which we're very excited about. As you've heard with some of the other presentations from the other schools, we have a strong focus on PBIS, positive behavior intervention and supports, where our staff are actively involved in leading committees. And these are just two examples of the things that they're doing, not only to support each other through this incredibly difficult year, but to help support the kids through it. And I will say, without a doubt, and I know you're gonna get this everywhere, but our teachers really do care about each other genuinely, and they'll, invite each other to meet in the morning for a little bit of yoga before school if they know someone's kind of having a hard time. They go for walks with each other after school. They do some different things, which is really pretty cool, that they'll invite each other out to do. We've picked up some new staff members this year. Due to like long-term subs or people who have been out, things like that. And I've found even up until actually this week, we have a sixth grade teacher who just joined us for the remainder of the school year. And quickly, everybody has really kind of rallied around her to welcome her to the group. So I think that's, super important, and I think it's something that's actively happening. But our teachers will update these mindfulness, kind of slogans, mottos, helpful tips to help everybody continue to manage and monitor their own emotional wellness as we kind of, continue to power through the school year. We're excited to jump back into the Knowledge Bowl this year. So it's been a couple of years due to COVID. We came out of the gates storming, and we won our first year, and we did not do that the second time we went. So we're looking to get back in the mix. But, I'd mark your calendars now for June 8 and 9. It's going to be at Drake High School from 6 to 8. We actually have tryouts, and I think McCarthy's doing them tomorrow as well, but we're going to have a quick round of tryouts tomorrow morning that our two coaches, Ashley Jean and Sheila Kish, are going to be running for Parker. But it's a combined team. It's 5 students from each school, and we come together to make Chelmsford's team. So we're looking forward to that. It's a lot of fun, super impressive. There's always a team or two that just has some students who are absolutely lights out, and it's really exciting and amazing to watch just how much, these kids know. So if you're ever building like a power trivia team, you're gonna wanna hit this event and start drafting. It's really pretty cool. So we're looking forward to that. We have 2 student leadership groups. One, and you've I've had some of these students join us here, and you just saw them on the news clip, but this is one of our leadership groups made up of 24 7th and 8th graders. And we attended a school leadership conference this year virtually. And the gentleman on the screen, his name is Dr. Phil Campbell. I had the pleasure of watching him speak at a principals conference a couple of years ago. And every opportunity I get to have him interact with our kids and staff, we do that. Am I talking too much, Ozzie? So he was wonderful, and he actually volunteered his time to work with our leadership group on this particular day, spent over an hour with these kids, and it was really pretty neat. This second group is our student ambassadors. We started this group in 2019 for the first time, and this was a project by a teacher-led committee called our Building Connections Committee. And what they wanted to do was have a homeroom rep from every homeroom, every grade. So we have 32 students who campaign. They explain why they want to be involved in this. We work with them to get them a little bit of training around like how to kind of manage a group within your homeroom. So it's more than just kind of like the teacher's go-to person. We're trying to get them actively involved in a few different projects within the school. So they've run some fundraisers for us this year and different things like that. So I'm a big believer in student voice within the school building. So using these opportunities to get kids involved in the decision-making is very important, and I think we're doing a nice job of that. Another opportunity for a student to show her leadership skills this is Riley Bridge. She's also on one of the other committees. But each year, Project 351 is a Massachusetts-based program where 351 eighth graders from each of the cities and towns in Massachusetts get together to do a service project. We typically alternate with McCarthy. Couple more minutes, buddy, couple more minutes. We typically alternate with McCarthy, and this was our opportunity to select somebody. So we talk to teachers, to the counselors, and identify a student who we think is up for the challenge. So Riley did a great job with this, and she, got her friends together, got some students together, leaned on some of the other groups we have built in, and ran this clothing drive, and she absolutely hit a home run while smiling the whole time and maintaining her energy and keeping her grades up and all of those other things that go along with it. So she was really outstanding and should be celebrated for that. And then along the lines with all the fun stuff that we do, we had our 8th annual Parker Classic Hockey Tournament. And then we had over 60 kids playing it this year, which was awesome. It's 7th and 8th graders, so we had over 60 students involved. And we had over 20 staff members play in the staff game, which we do at the end. So we allow them to make a little kind of all-star team or whoever's available at the end of it. And then we play against them, which is just a lot of fun to be able to get together as a school community and play some hockey and show sportsmanship and get the camaraderie outside of the classroom, which, as we all know, is very important. And then here's another example of that, and this is the last slide before we can maybe have a discussion, is, at the end of it all, this is an annual event that we do where students and staff play, compete, have fun. Our musicians get to show off their talents. We have students that sing the national anthem. We turn it into a really fun community event. And it allows us at Parker, and we're gonna continue to do this, is keeping the focus on our core values of pride. So the perseverance, respect, integrity, dedication, and empathy. And we always go back to that. It gives us something as a core structure for everybody to continue to follow. And when people make mistakes or things are going well and we want to celebrate or we have some hard work to do, all of that, we continue to try to bring it back to our core values and explain why we think that if the students and staff leave Parker at some point, understanding why those core values are important and can be helpful to them in their lives moving forward, then we're doing our job. So we'll continue to keep the focus on that. And these celebrations are examples of how we have fun around our pride core values. Could I also add, Katrina, not surprised you did well on your psych exam. You had a good middle school foundation, so congratulations, it's good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or?
So everybody here knows, but my daughter goes to the Parker, and I can attest to the great education that she gets and the experience that she's had and we've had as parents. So thank you, and thank you for the teachers, because it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So in regards to Officer Ozzie, I've said this a few times when I was deployed. Service dogs were such a huge help for people out in the field and out in these little crappy bases out there eating terrible food. Well, the food was actually pretty good, but these dogs would come out and you could see people light up and they would throw a ball, and these people that were really under high stress conditions. So I can imagine how much joy it brings kids. So good stuff.
Thanks, John.
Anybody else?
I've been pushing for a dog for a while too. That and the fish tank. Those apparently the
You
two
have a
things.
fish tank.
I have fish
And
tanks.
you have a dog.
We have a dog.
All right,
Any
anybody
fish in the
else?
science pond?
Yes?
There's fish inside.
No?
Sort of.
Oh, I had a question about the maker room. Are you guys gonna put like 3D printers in there? Is that gonna be like a science print room? Like, what are you thinking?
There's a pretty high-speed cricket machine in there right now that does a ton of different things.
Okay.
That's what John was kind of showing off.
Okay.
I'm not sure about a 3D printer. I know we do have them in our tech ed rooms, so I'm not sure if there would be, a space for that in there, but I believe actually at some point John's gonna be talking about the science pond and then, kind of his vision for that too.
Awesome.
I think this was a pretty challenging year. It sounds like you've had some incredible initiatives here. What do you think was the most difficult thing this year for the students and staff and everybody to return to the regular type of environment? And how do you think you've dealt with that challenge?
I think it was really like right from the beginning, it was really like the fear of the unknown, right? Because we didn't know, were masks ever gonna go away? Were we staying in school? Were we gonna come back in September, October and spike and then have to go out again? So that really kind of unknown, and just trying to coach people and encourage people, we know what we have to deal with right now. We know we have to deal with masks in school. And the distancing is different than it was. So just kind of trying to help people focus on the known and don't get too caught up in the what if. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. I joke with people, I'm like, well, they keep showing up, right? So,
There.
right on cue. But so, I do think that's what it was. It was the fear of the unknown. And then around like what happens when or what happens if. As soon as we moved away and the decision was made that we wouldn't be wearing masks anymore, I heard from a lot of staff and parents and things, well, what if the kids that are wearing them versus the kids that don't and all that? It was, and I was concerned about it. I'm not gonna pretend I wasn't. It was non-existent. It wasn't, everyone just say, whatever your choice is, that's what it's gonna be, and let's keep moving forward. So that was very encouraging too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Congratulations, that's great.
thank you.
Anybody else? I'd just like to say, Officer Dan, thank you very much for all of your work at the middle school. I think it would be great maybe at some point in the future to have, as part of our agenda, just the role of the SROs in the schools, because I think sometimes people aren't necessarily clear about that. And I know what a tremendous resource you are. Also, thank you to Chief Spinney, because really without him and his support none of this would be possible either. And thank you very much for the presentation, it was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Maybe if, I wholeheartedly agree, with people watching, because they didn't get a big chance to see Ozzie because he's a little low. Can we maybe get a little more Ozzie time? I don't know if he can he sit up on the table for a second?
Get out of the way, Jeff.
Poor Ozzie. He's beautiful.
Yeah, he is cute. I can't believe how
Ozzie,
big he's
thanks a
getting.
lot.
Yeah, he's doubled in size in a month.
Yeah.
He's ready for bed. Do you know what size he is going to be?
His father was like 103 pounds.
Oh, my.
But he's a lot bigger than his siblings, so the sky's
That's
the limit. We'll find out in about 18 months. Exactly. Yeah, this might be the last time I'm holding him on camera here.
Thank you so much for
Guys,
persisting.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate it. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye, Ozzie.
Thanks, Jeff, I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
thank you all, you're welcome.
You too.
Good to see you.
Good night.
Take care, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, good to see you.
Did you guys coordinate the vests?
Seniors, good luck with your home stretch here. Congrats.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do?
I'm sure. Thank you. So I included in, or Dr. Lang included in our agenda, what MASC has outlined as the legislative priorities for 2022. And there's some, pretty interesting things in here if you take a read through. But really, the most important thing, I think, is that as part of our responsibility as school committee members is to advocate, at the state and federal level for certain things. It's good to know what it is, maybe the MASC is focusing on. And if you have a chance to be able to talk to some of our representatives or legislators, to be able to talk to them about, what some of the priorities are that have been identified. And there are some in here that we've actually already accomplished as a district, but there's other things in here that would be really beneficial to the district overall. So if you want to just take, as I said, a look at those and use them as talking points if you have the opportunity going forward. Thank you.
Donna,
Yeah.
will these become some of these resolutions at the conference?
I think that they might, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure. So the resolutions are submitted by school districts. So some of them may use these as the basis for their resolution. It'll be interesting to see what we have coming. And I know that, I believe June 1st, I said in the last meeting, was the date for the deadline for resolution. So if any of you have, a desire to put together a resolution, as I said, the application is included in the mailing that we received, and it's due by June 1st. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Third item on the agenda this evening is, we talked a little bit about this last week when we submitted the statement of interest on Friday. It did go in. I got the email back confirming the submission, so we're in the marks. Yeah, thank you for the quick turnaround for the minutes. That
You're
was
welcome.
very good.
Happy to help.
And the select board also really worked well with Trish in the clerk's office to get us that vote in. So we're all submitted, but I wanted to provide just that little timeline, and this is a timeline we'd shared previously when we submitted for the high school project. So I just changed it up a little bit for this middle school project. But it just talks about how our application now is in with the MSBA. First step, I would think, would be late summer, early fall. A group from the SBA would contact us to come out and take a look at the school itself, do a little tour, acclimate themselves with the facility, and then we basically wait to see if we're going to get invited into the eligibility period, the eligibility phase. And that has typically been running like right after the first of the year. So sometime in probably the January 2023, early February 2024 timeframe is when we would know if we get invited into eligibility. And then if we do get invited into eligibility, it kicks off this whole timeline of what needs to take place. If we do not get invited into eligibility, then we just reapply again the following year, and we just wait until we're actually into the queue. It's a pretty, sophisticated timeline. I won't read the whole thing for you, but I just wanted to pull it together in one place for you as a reference, and it is posted as part of the packet in case people watching at home wanted to kind of see all the different elements that are involved. Again, it's pretty specific. You do need to get approvals from MSBA as you go along and make sure that you're hitting all your different benchmarks and timelines. You're invited into the various stages, but the first one is what we're waiting for, which would hopefully be an invitation into eligibility after the first of next year. But as I hear things, or if they let us know that they're gonna come out and take a look at the school, I'd certainly send you an email just to let you know. So,
Thank you.
happy to answer any questions, but just wanted to put it together in one packet for you.
If we were invited in, at what point do we need to go to the town to secure funds for, whether it's the feasibility or the engineering, I don't know what the next.
Well, that would be the first graphic on page one. So if we get invited into eligibility, that kicks off that 270-day window. When there's, let me just pull it up real quick. So that's where we have to do like a lot of paperwork with the MSBA. You almost have about 3/4 of a year to do that, but you have to certify your understanding of their rules and regulations. We have to form a school building committee specific to that project. We have to complete our educational profile and questionnaire about the school itself and talk about some of the conditions at the school that aren't meeting the MSBA regs. We have to take a look at current and a projected enrollment for the school, so we'd have to have a group come in and work with us on that. And then we'd be executing that feasibility study agreement with the MSBA. So towards the end of the eligibility phase, before you were to get invited into feasibility, is when we would have to come up with funding, really for the first time, just to fund the feasibility stage. I'm gonna guess that would cost in the ballpark of, and don't hold me to this, that's like your $500,000, maybe $750,000 funding. And we'd have to see at the time, would that be, would we go to the town to see if they would fund that as a one-time proposition? We could fund it within our budget, if we had funding available. So there's some different benchmarks there. That would be a good time, whether we went forward to town meeting or not, I think, to at least do an update for town meeting so that they would kind of know where we're at in the process. And that might even be something that we just start to do even annually. We wouldn't have to do it at both fall and spring town meetings. But at the beginning of the meeting, how they have the town reports of committees. We might actually just want to report on what we're hearing or the status about this, just so it's fresh in people's minds, so that if we get invited to eligibility, it's not like they're hearing about it for the first time. But, I would say, you're probably 6 months to a year before we really have to get funding.
So all of this, the feasibility study and all of these things, are these part of what is reimbursed from the state, or is it just the actual construction?
No, as long as you keep moving forward with your project, it's reimbursed.
Okay.
Retroactively.
Right.
So you have to pay the money up front, and then you can submit for reimbursements.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you ever, say, did a piece or two, and then decided not to move forward, the SBA will not reimburse you for stuff that you didn't move forward.
Okay.
So, do I get this understanding correct? 270 days is it? If you're brought in, you get 270 days to complete the,
Oh, that's just for the eligibility phase.
only for eligibility?
That's basically
Okay.
270 days for the paperwork phase.
Okay,
That's not getting into the nitty-gritty of the programs and things like that. It's certifying your enrollment, proving you have a problem at the site, those kind of things.
Okay.
So that's a very good chunk of time, and a lot of districts can get it done, because we actually have the study already from Dora and Whittier, we have the two of them. We might be able to move through that earlier than 270 days. And if you do, you'll let the SBA know that, and sometimes they can actually bump you up sooner if they're gonna invite you into feasibility. The feasibility phase is where that's gonna be the most extensive for us. That's when you have your OPM and your designer on board. You're actually looking at what the school could look like, and you're soliciting public input, a lot of public sessions. The feasibility is where it gets pretty heavy. Eligibility is very heavy for me, but it's not heavy for the community. That's like the paperwork piece. It's feasibility that'll be heavy on the community, because there'll be a lot of meetings along that.
All right, does anybody have any other questions? All right, great, well, thank you for putting this together.
No problem. And like I said, as soon as we hear back on anything, I'll let you know, just to let you know where we're at. Fourth item tonight, actually, the next few are kind of budget related, but I'll ask Joanna to just update us with the budget forecast for the current fiscal year. And then we'll talk a little bit about some one-time, second tier of one-time funding recommendations, and then the associated budget transfers. But Joanna, do you want to share the budget forecast with us?
So you have a one-page summary in your packet of the budget projection. The first time you saw one this year was at the March 15th meeting, And we said, you know, we were projecting at that time, we were going to be about $3.8 million dollars favorable. And the main reasons we've talked about, teachers hired at less than master steps 3, people going on approved unpaid leaves of absences, prepaying special ed tuitions last year because in accordance with those guidelines, and then the Valley credit. And at that meeting, we came forward and requested 3 one-time purchases. Since they had a little long lead time, remember the stadium lights, the cafeteria tables, and some door security things at the Harrington. So fast forward a month and a half, and I have an updated forecast. We're still favorable, and this isn't too different from our quarterly update. I just got a little more specific per DESI function code. And we're still projecting to be favorable by approximately $3.2 million for the same reasons. And it's just kind of reduced by those one-time things that we've already kindly approved back in March. So that's the forecast by DESI function code category. I'm going to pause here and see if you have any questions. And then it's kind of a nice segue into the superintendent's next memo on some recommendations on one-time purchases, since we do have a favorable variance.
Any questions on the projection?
No, as always, very thorough. Thank you.
Great, we'll switch into one-time recommendations. We first talked about this at the end of March, and so we're still recommending the same three-pronged kind of approach to utilizing some of this funds at the end of the year. First would be like we do every year to make some one-time purchases that aren't going to have a carryover effect in current year budgets. So these are like one-time shots for things that we can buy that we're not going to have to fund in following years. We will likely prepay some special education tuition again this year to be able to free up a little bit of money in next year's budget. And then lastly, as you recall at town meeting, they approved that special ed reserve fund, so we'll likely make a recommendation to put some money in that account. That is capped out at about 1.4 million, and that is the fund that if we put money into for a future unanticipated sped expense, the committee and the select board would have to vote to move money out of that account to pay for it. So we're still kind of projecting or moving forward with that particular philosophy on how to spend this funding and close out the fiscal year. And so we've worked with schools and departments and programs around identifying some one-time costs that they would like to be able to purchase outside of the regular budget. So you have a list with you that I'll review that adds up to just a little over $900,000 at this time. And we'll likely have a final list, if not the May 17th, more likely maybe that first meeting in June, meeting to make some kind of final one-time purchases. But I'll just run through the list for you, and you can either stop me as we go or just wait till the end and ask questions if you want. A lot of these, I list the school that's made the request and then who would be responsible for seeing this through. The first couple of line items have to deal with some music purchases, particularly at South Rowan Center School, for a little bit of more flexible seating within some of the music rooms, and then also the art table rooms in those two schools. They're a little updated and need some updates, so both have asked for those. New set of student xylophones for the Center School music program. Over the February vacation, we had a flood in the office of Center School. A pipe broke and it got into the rug, and it also, the furniture is all metal. So it just started to eat away at the metal and really rusted badly. So we just need to outdate the office with new furniture because it really is not in good shape. So that is the front office furniture repair for the secretaries at Center School. We've identified, they're kind of elusive. I actually thought we had completed this a couple of years ago. These accordion walls within a couple of the schools. Chelmsford High School still had a couple. And then Parker Middle School had a couple. You know what I mean? They're the walls that kind of fold. They're really not in great shape, and they don't provide for sound quality between the two classrooms. So we just want to remove those walls and be able to put up permanent drywall walls. So that really has worked out very well. And like I said, I thought we'd already finished this project, but they sneak up on you. So we have those in there. You'll see a couple of different items from Bill and Technology. He's been working with Dan over at the high school about doing some esports activities off the
huge.
library. It really is, it's something the kids are really into. So there's equipment for the furniture for that, and also the different laptops and accessories they would need to launch that program.
Would that be like an after-school club or?
Yeah, I think it'll start out like a club. I mean, there are schools that actually have like competitive teams.
Yeah.
Do they? It has-
Oh,
You
yeah.
you can
Yeah, big
enter
thing.
It's a big
contests and
thing,
things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we kind of started as an after-school club activity type things. But I'm not that into it, but some of the stuff can actually kind of roll into like the evening hours and stuff too. And there were different competitions
Competitions,
on
yeah.
different days, depending on what it is. So it's kind of cool. It really seems interested, and the kids are really into it. So they're looking at, in the back of the library, there's some of those glass rooms, kind of retrofitting them for all of this esports type stuff for the students at the high school.
Will Bill be the coach?
I don't know if he'd be a coach, but I can guarantee he'll be playing over there. Yeah, he definitely likes it. Some of his tech guys are very interested in helping out the kids too, and doing it.
I'm also into video games.
What's that?
Nothing. I said I'm also into video games, so if those kids want to see what's up.
You're a coach.
Old man.
You can be an
I'll come coach.
advisor.
It
Who
brings
knew?
it into a different realm, that's good.
Yeah, it really
just wanna
does.
say-
It does tap into another, group
Absolutely.
of students, yeah.
For the record, my
Does.
teachers all told me was wasting my time playing video games, but here I am on the school committee offering my expertise. Thanks, Mrs. Ben.
Sorry, Jay.
Alrighty, anyway. If you've been up there, we've actually been doing some replacement of furnishings in the library area, trying to update it a little bit. And so Bill's been working with one of the vendors to update the whole circulation desk area and some of the bookcase areas to make the area just a little bit more user-friendly with like mobile furniture that they can move around on wheels for kids when they're doing like groupings and things like that. I still have a TBD because I don't know yet. We're gonna be working on the bid package to go out this week. We had approved the new lighting for the stadium, so we just need to know what it's gonna cost to physically put the foundations in the ground to hold the poles. So we hopefully have that by the end of May.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah.
The lights from the stadium, the old lights we're planning on putting on the tennis courts, right? The new tennis courts?
Yeah, so we're gonna take them down and salvage them, like save them for right now. And Gary's plan was to, once the tennis courts get redone, they're gonna need new poles.
Right.
But to reutilize the light fixtures. So we're gonna hold them in storage until the tennis area is outfitted.
That won't be included as part of this whole stadium.
No, that'll have to
Okay.
be a separate thing, because it'll be a little bit, and I don't even know if they're gonna be going with like a wood pole, because they don't have to be as tall as the stadium poles. So they're gonna have to get a whole design on that, but we're just gonna hold the lights, because the lights, and they're actually saying they don't even need to be relamped. So I think they'll be good. And obviously, the lighting was a little bit dark in the stadium, but it's just such a more compact area, they're gonna more than light the tennis courts. So that'll be good. And they can do the hockey and the basketball at the same time.
Nice.
But so we have a TBD, a placeholder, just so I don't forget about the installation costs of the lights, so we'll have that back for you. We're gonna recommend again doing that purchase of the back-to-school supplies for the students. This has gone over really well over the last couple of years, and would like to do that again with the schools. It's primarily elementary, middle schools. At the high school, we do send some notebooks and pens and pencils and things like that, but it is pretty intensive for the K-8. The high school is tough because of what the kids like, but we've gotten very good feedback from the parents on this.
Kind of a related thing, it was a PTO meeting. The PTOs just wondering if we're gonna help out like we did this year with the teacher appreciation lunches and things like that, because they're trying to budget for next year themselves, and,
For next year?
yeah.
Well, we're doing it this year.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I kind of been doing it like on a year-to-year.
Okay, because they were just wondering, because they're trying to come up with their own budgets for
Yeah,
what they're gonna need to put aside for their
okay.
class next year, so.
I'll put that on my little list to talk to Council of Schools. I think we have a meeting on the 17th, but I'll chat with the group at that time.
And the other thing about this 125,000, I know we do this at the end of the year with this one-time spending, and that's how we've done it for, this is the third year. I do think that this is a very good thing, and I think that this is something that everybody would like to see continue. Are you doing this, are you thinking of this as a temporary thing for these 3 years? Or making it a permanent part of what we need each year?
Right now, it's a year-to-year. I think the first year that we did it, we had a little bit of extra money, and we just wanted to kind of see how it would go over. I like doing it. I mean, it is labor intensive on the school to pull this all
Yes.
together, but it is a huge cost savings for the families. And even just the resources, you don't have to run all over the place to get the supplies you need, and everyone has the exact same supply. So it's not like my folder is better than Donna's or vice
Yes.
versa. Everyone kind of
Yes.
has the same. And I'm sure Donna's folder will be better than mine, but,
I had a trapper keeper.
oh, you had a trapper keeper? Wow. But people are becoming now reliant on it. So we are fortunate that we have one-time funding every year to do this. I mean, at some point in the future, depending how the longer it goes, it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna feel like it's a loss if it gets taken away. Yeah, we could consider putting it in the budget, but we usually have one-time funding, so it's not a big issue.
Okay.
It's not like $1 million problem.
I remember the first year we did it, we couldn't find a pencil case within 50 miles of Chelmsford because of you.
I have had to go, I mean, not to belabor this, 3 years in a row. There's no one that holds enough pencil cases. I used to have to drive around to the Staples and get them. I have now a little connection with, I'm not gonna even tell you which Staples.
Don't tell them.
There's a particular Staples that I've got an in with right now. So they actually will ship the pencil boxes right to that one location for me. But it's crazy, trying to get a pencil box in August. So, but I think parents really like it, so we'll keep that going. Brian Curley had a bunch of different items on here also, just to help out the custodians. If you recall, we really are bare bones when it comes to staffing, and the models worked for us. You know, we have our own, like, one full-time person in the building, and then we contract at night for the nighttime cleaning service. But when the snowstorm hits during the day, there's not a lot of extra hands on deck. So we've got to make sure that they have good snowblower equipment to be able to clean out before the people come. We're recommending, like, even for cleanups, like a pull behind as opposed to on the leaf vacuums, like the walking type ones. There are these snow rated vehicles you actually might see oftentimes in like these at the airports all the time. It's almost like a little ride-on snow thing that really just kind of, they have a short window to get clean. And the high school's got, you know, Jeff, the high school's got a lot of sidewalks and things to get around. So we have that on there. We asked Peggy, the nurse coordinator, if the nurses needed things. They honestly don't have any big asks, but just updating some of the different equipment and things that they use in their offices. Another couple of bill things, the last one on the list is updates to our virtual environment. He'd like to redo that. I guess our warranties are coming up, and would like to buy a new virtual environment and backup system for the network. The Clear Touch machines that we have installed in all the different classrooms, people are really using them quite a bit, but what we're having now is people requesting that the sound be louder, and it's just hard because it's a TV. So they actually do make like a sound bar that goes on top of the TV that'll just be able to project, you know, whether it's a PowerPoint or a movie or whatnot, that projection quality. Again, another Peggy, we've been doing a little bit of air conditioning ads in the different schools, at least office areas where people are in the building during the summertime. And then we have been trying to, when we can, I think we did Parker last year, we got McCarthy on here this year, at least doing air conditioning for like the teacher's room. So like during the day, they can get a little bit of a break and get some cool air if they need to. Next one also from McCarthy, they have a small gym in the back of the school that's kind of like got tiles on the floor. So they want to put just a poured floor, so it'll be a little bit easier traction-wise, and also use it as an extra gym. Just another music request for a piano at McCarthy for the orchestra room. I guess the current one just has to continue to be retuned, and they're having difficulty with it, so they want to switch over to a digital keyboard. We've added it's actually kind of cool if you ever want to try it, those disc golf courses. We have 9 holes. We're probably the only school system that has an 18-hole golf course. But we've got 9 holes at McCarthy and 9 holes at the high school. So they want to add 9 holes for Parker. The kids are really into it, like as a phys ed activity. But then you do see community members using it after hours, and they certainly can. So we have that on there, and it's not a big cost. There's another 3 accordion walls over at Parker. And then lastly, at Parker School, they have a giant 40-foot outdoor container that's just rotted and kind of rusted to its end of its useful life. So they need to replace that. They don't make 40s anymore, so we got to get 2 20s to be able to just keep all of the lawn equipment and things like that outside. So this list in front of you is just a little over 900,000. Again, We will bring additional items forward next meeting or the meeting after to kind of wrap up the one-time purchases for this year. And then basically back into a number as we close out the year to be able to put some money aside for for the prepaid sped tuition, and then also start to fund that special ed reserve fund. So those would be the last two items. So if you're at 3.4 now, is that, you said 3.4? Oh, 3.2, 3.2. This will knock us down to about 2.2. Ballpark, 2.3. And then we'll bring in that final one, which won't be as extensive as this, but just a couple of other last minute projects that we think we can get done over the summertime. We've got quotes out now, we're just waiting to get them back. So happy to.
Are we gonna make
discuss
prepayment, payments on the turf field like we have in the past too? Is that part of?
Yeah, the principal and the interest.
Yeah.
That'll be like an end of the year transfer. But yes, that's really worked out again well for us.
Okay.
So we'll do that one. We'll take a look at our revolving funds, like that can carry over. So even if we have earmarked something for them now, if we can roll it to the local fund and then allow the revolving fund to carry over, we'll do that as a transfer as well.
And I assume we're getting revenues on the fields this year, right? So that just builds in that?
Yeah, it just goes to the account, so it's just gonna grow a little bit. How many, I know I asked you this, what payments do we have?
Not many, I think we're like close to 3 years.
So we are coming up on the end of those payments too. And the fields are in good shape. They still have a lot of life left in them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so next up, it looks like,
Yeah, the last item this evening is Joanna has basically prepared two different votes for you. The first one would deal with the transfers that we just talked about. And on the second page of her memo, she kind of has all the to and froms broken down for you so that the money goes into the correct accounts. And then a second one to just transfer some smaller money that's outside of the one-time capital. This is all money that's already within our budget, but she highlighted the two recommended motions in red for you.
I make a motion that the school committee approve these FY 2022 local operating budget transfers totaling $914,689 for Chelmsford Public Schools as presented.
Second?
all right, this is a roll call vote. Dennis?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Me, aye. Okay, it's 5-0.
Yep, oh, you can do the second one if you want, yeah.
I move that the school committee vote to approve these FY 2022 local operating budget transfers totaling $34,826 for the Chelmsford Public Schools as presented.
Second.
Okay, again, a roll call vote. Dennis?
Just asking on these ones are for, so it says like capital and land, what is it just?
Yeah, so these were funds that we just want to shift outside of the one-time purchases. This is within our budget. Do you want to walk through those?
So I had this prepared, this little set, even if we didn't bring one-time purchases to the committee, I had a couple little budget transfers just to bring to the committee to review. So that's why I kind of separated them. One is just a little between the DESI categories, the buying wants to buy some more supplies. A little one, we're establishing that account for the high school accreditation. It is in the fiscal '23 budget, but we do have a tiny bit of little expenses this year, so I just wanted to bring it to you so you don't just see this new account number popping up in fiscal '22. So that's what the second one is. And the third one is we wanted to finish up some items with the McCarthy Auditorium. So we had encumbered a whole bunch at the end of last year and did a lot over the summer, but then there were a few more things that needed to be done, so that's what this is. And then there was, there was an opportunity to purchase a used piece of snow removal equipment, this sidewalk tractor, so at a pretty significant discount, so we'd like to move on that. And that's what those two items are in there. In our view, they would fit in the capital land and buildings DESI category.
My apologies, I'm sorry. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right, we have a second? All right. Anything else?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you.
That's all I have.
When we come back and we're talking about our one-time purchase recommendations, could you put in maybe an asterisk next to things that would it be a capital project that we're going to take on?
Like something that we're taking off the town capital?
Correct.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because I do think it's important for us to be able to talk about those things, you know.
We did a lot of that. I mean, particularly last year, we did a
Yes,
lot of that.
yes.
And then we were able to move stuff off both the town and the school capital list to get it
Right,
done quicker.
right.
I can make a note for that, or I could color it or something.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because the accordion walls, that would be capital, right?
Yeah, actually, there's a few things on here, but I do think it's important that, you know, that we know what those things are and that we're able to, you know, to address those. And
Find accordion walls till 2030.
Well, I thought we were really done. And then you walk in a room and all of a sudden there's a wall.
I taught in one, and there was a math teacher beside me, and I had such loud volume that his students learned all about Julius Caesar while they were supposed to be doing algebraic expressions.
It happens. But
All right.
I'll be happy to do that for you.
thank you. All right, next up are our liaison reports. Does anybody have any liaison reports? Dennis?
Chips last night. They're continuing with their enrichment activities. They just had Animal Adventures in, which was a big hit, and they have Touch a Truck coming in June. They have Spirit Week this week, so today's was PJ and Stuffy Day. I'm sure that went over well. But they've all different theme days over the course of the week, Color Day, Star Wars Day, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like they're really having a good time with that. They have the field day on the 20th. They have a teacher appreciation breakfast this Thursday, and their staff lunch is going to be on the 2nd.
Great. Anybody else?
Just a reminder that McCarthy and Center have the May 14th Junk Recycle Day coming up.
That's a good
Get your
one.
stuff ready.
Yep. Great.
That's at McCarthy or here?
It's,
It's usually at the
yeah,
administrative
the
building
administrative,
here.
Yeah. It's
That
amazing.
has a history.
it is
The
amazing.
amount of stuff that people bring.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right, and you know, prior to town meeting, I think I had received some inquiries from, you know, people in town having no kids in the district, but wondering when this was gonna happen,
This has
so.
become a town thing.
It really
It's
has.
really become really great.
All right, moving on to new items or action items. Does anybody have anything? There are a couple of things. So we will be talking about kindergarten registration at our next meeting, but I was wondering if we could also get an update on what the enrollment's gonna look like for the fifth graders. Okay. Also to maybe get an update on the strategic plan and when we can expect to see that report.
They're gonna come, just off the top of my head,
Okay.
they're gonna come to the meeting on June, whatever the first meeting in June is it the 7th? And they're gonna do an update for you on where they're at in the process.
Okay.
And they're also at the point where we're gonna have like a draft plan and whatnot over the next couple of weeks that they're gonna be able to put out to the public.
Okay.
And then they're gonna be hosting a couple of different public input sessions on that plan. And I think the first one was like the Thursday after our school committee meeting in June. So we said we'll have them come to that meeting to kind of give the overview, so people could kind of see it, but then also they'll be invited out to the public to talk about it. But yes, it is coming up. It's not the next meeting in May, though, it's the first meeting in June.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, and then two other things. I know that in meeting with some of the PTOs that it's been hard to get volunteers. And so I was wondering, as we get into next year and we're looking at presentations, if we could talk about maybe showcasing some of the PTOs in order to, you know, do two things. One is maybe to help give an overview of what it is that they do and what their goals are in order to be able to help encourage more volunteers. And also to discuss ways to improve how we can use technology. Because I think one of the positive things is that we've been able to offer both in-person and at-home, you know, participation. And that's helped with parents who have problems with childcare and whatnot to be able to participate in these meetings. So just taking a look at that as we go forward. I think if there's anything that we can do as a group to encourage people to become involved, you know, in activities in the school, I think that the PTOs would greatly appreciate that. So, and then the final thing I have is, I'm just going to announce this tonight, but then we'll be talking more about it at the next meeting. I spoke with the chairperson from the select board, Virginia Crocker-Timmons, and they had been approached, or Paul Cohen had been approached about after the town meeting that we had, some interest in discussing ideas for the tennis courts at McCarthy. In speaking with Paul, he sent it over to us because they felt that the tennis courts being on school property, that we should take the lead on that. So in the next meeting, we're going to be discussing it further, but I did want to mention it tonight for people who may be tuning in, that may have an interest in wanting to be on that committee to listen for more information. We do have to take a look at a couple of the policy issues for these subcommittees, as well as what the configuration should look like, and then what the meeting schedule will be. And I think we're hoping to get a meeting together in June, our first meeting.
I think we could pull something off just before everyone leaves for the summer, at least like an initial meeting, and then break and do some work.
Right. So we'll have more information on that at the next meeting, but as I said, I did want to get it out there, as it was something that came out of town meeting, and I did want people to start thinking about, whether or not they might want to be interested, members of our community. All right, is there anything else? Do we have any emails that need to be, is nobody here for public comments, but is there any emails that need to be read into the minutes? All right. Okay, I'm
Do we
sorry.
have any additional presentations coming this year?
Harrington.
Are we missing any schools or?
No, we're gonna have, I think Harrington is
Harrington.
next. And then we missed McCarthy back in March for something, so we
Okay.
bumped them to one of the June meetings. So we're
Okay,
gonna get through all the schools by the end of the school year. We had the McCarthy one we had to bump.
okay. Great, thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.